Greetings, Bears News Fan Report faithful. If you've been tracking every ripple coming out of Halas Hall this offseason, you already know there's a storm brewing in the backfield, and it's more than just another summer heat wave. Before you hit play on your highlight reels, pause and consider this. Could the Chicago Bears be days away from making a decision that would shake the very foundation of their rushing attack? Stick with me, because what I'm about to explore might just rewrite the script for a player whose journey has been anything but ordinary. Now, do us a solid, smash that like button and subscribe to Bears News Fan Report to stay locked in on all the drama, rumors, and insider scoops we uncover. All right, let's dive in. Imagine a tale worthy of a blockbuster. A young running back arrives in Chicago with promise, flashes of brilliance on goal line stunts, and whispers of untapped potential. Over 2 seasons, he tied for the team lead in rushing touchdowns, posted an efficient 4.3 yards per carry as a rookie, and even shared the red zone duties with a veteran Pro Bowler. Sounds like a storybook rise, right? But every hero faces a crucible, and ours has stumbled into a predicament darker than any November turf. Picture the scene. OTAs in full swing, pads off, and yet the chatter around the practice fields isn't about dazzling downfield runs. It's about uncertainty. Coaches, scouts, and front office types are reportedly leaning in, analyzing every juke, every trailer block, every snap count. Why, you ask? Because whispers suggest this running back spot could be in jeopardy. Could this be the beginning of an unexpected purge? Is it possible that the same team which once celebrated his goal line prowess might now be ready to cut him loose? Let's rewind to the numbers that defined his tenure. In his first year, he carried the rock just 81 times, but turned those into 352 yards and a pair of touchdowns, flashing 4.3 yards per attempt, impressive compared to his backfield counterparts, 3.8 YPC in that same season. By 2024, he was entrusted with strictly goal line duties, yet still managed to deliver when it mattered most. Yet, despite these flashes, he never eclipsed 100 carries and often found himself watching from the sideline, trapped behind a depth chart that didn't fully clear the path for him. Enter Ben Johnson, the new head coach with an offense built on power, misdirection, and a hunger for fresh faces. Early endorsements suggested he'd give this back a legit shot, but now murmurs of a roster shakeup paint a different picture. Could the Bears, keen to prove they're not just rebuilding, but contending, decide that this production is simply not enough? What if the front office views a mid-round draft pick or a cheaper free agent handcuff as a better long-term gamble? Some insiders, names you haven't heard yet, are banking on a bold move. They hint at a possible cut or trade as early as training camp, a strategy aimed at freeing cap space and sending a message to the rest of the roster. Earn your spot or risk being the next casualty. But if they really pull the trigger, who would be brave enough to bid on a back with his resume? And more importantly, why would Chicago gamble on parting ways with someone who, on his best days, has shown the grit to punch through the line for crucial short-yardage conversions? As tension builds, our protagonist stands at a crossroads. Will this be the moment he confronts the fiercest trial of his career? Will he respond with a Herculean training camp performance that silences the doubters? Or does this foreshadow his exit from the very team that gave him his first real taste of NFL glory? The saga reaches its climax when, after this suspenseful build-up, we finally have to name him. And it's none other than Roshan Johnson. Keep that question simmering in your mind. Can Roshan Johnson rise from the brink of release to reclaim his destiny as a central figure in Chicago's run game, or will the Bears sever ties and move on? When we return, we'll peel back the layers on the financial implications of such a move, dissect the locker room fallout, and speculate on who could step into that spotlight if the unthinkable happens. If you're as intrigued as I am, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to Bears News Fan Report. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. Picking up where we left off, let's unpack the ripple effects of a potential roster move that would send shockwaves through the NFC North. If Chicago does indeed part ways with Roshan Johnson, they'd free up a modest amount of cap space. But, more importantly, they'd send a clear message. No role on this team is guaranteed. Could this hardline stance galvanize the rest of the backfield room? Imagine Khalil Herbert and Deonta Foreman realizing that every snap matters more than ever, pushing them to double down in meetings, in the weight room, and on film study. Some insiders believe this internal competition could light a fire under the entire offense, driving performance to new heights. But let's cast our gaze beyond Halas Hall. A player with Johnson's resume, goal line chops, efficient yardage, per carry, and special teams versatility would almost certainly draw interest from contenders looking for a midseason upgrade. Picture the storyline. A surprise surfacing in Week 6 when a playoff hopeful like the Packers or Vikings, battered by injuries, swings a late trade and plucks Roshan off waivers. Could you see him donning green and gold, rushing for a critical touchdown that swings a divisional game? Fans are already speculating wildly. Some say he could be the X factor in a heated rivalry matchup, while others think a fresh system might finally unlock the next level of his skill set. On the flip side, there's an argument that cutting ties. With Johnson risks losing a homegrown talent who's already acclimated to the Bears' system. What if he lands with a team that counts on red zone specialists and emerges as one of the league's most efficient short yardage backs? Would Chicago's front office kick themselves later for letting a bargain basement gem slip through their fingers? It's possible that even if the Bears move on, they'll quietly eye Johnson's next destination, mentally chalking his performances up to their own coulda, woulda, shoulda ledger. Financially speaking, executing a cut before June 1st would generate a small dead cap hit but save around $1.2 million in base salary, enough to scoop up a veteran left guard or bolster the linebacker depth. Could we see Ryan Poles pivoting and using that extra breathing room to sign a surprise veteran? Free agent, someone who can step in immediately and shore up a different area of need. Some cap analysts suggest that the Bears might already have their sights set on a center, or edge rusher, whose contract would cost less than Johnson's guarantee, thereby maintaining overall roster flexibility without sacrificing depth. Of course, the human element can't be ignored. Teammates have sung Johnson's praises behind closed doors, praising his work ethic, his laid-back demeanor, and his willingness to mentor undrafted rookies. If the Bears choose this path, what happens to locker room morale? Could dressing room surveys reveal a surprising backlash, or will players respect a meritocratic culture that spares no one? The answer to that may dictate how quickly Chicago's young nucleus coalesces into a championship contender. Now, let's speculate on who might step into the void. The most obvious candidate is Khalil Herbert, whose elusive running style and pass-protecting chops have already made him a fan favorite. But could the Bears also explore the possibility of converting a third-round draft pick into their primary short yardage specialist? Imagine scouting reports glowing over a college back who averaged 5 yards per carry on 3rd and 1. Some draft experts argue that Chicago could package their 5th-round pick to move up and grab such a prospect, ensuring they still have a dedicated goal line runner without carrying Johnson's salary. All things considered, this isn't just about one player's contract. It's about shaping a culture that balances youthful potential with veteran reliability. Cutting Roshan Johnson would be a bold statement, that the merits of each player are judged strictly on performance and fit, rather than pedigree. Could this be the turning point that accelerates the Bears' rebuild into a genuine playoff push? Or will it backfire, leaving the team scrambling for short yardage solutions and questioning the front office's judgment? But what do you think about all of this? Personally, I believe that while parting ways with Johnson would sting, it might ultimately streamline the backfield into a more dynamic, competitive stable, one that forces every runner to earn every inch. I'm eager to read your takes in the comments below. If this breakdown got you thinking, Make sure to like, subscribe to Bears News Fan Report, and ring that notification bell so you're always first to hear our next Insider Deep Dive. Until next time, bear down.